You're not from the gym business. You've spent a lot of time in the gym, but not from the gym business.
Yeah.
And you open this place up in probably one of the most challenging times to open a gym. Tell us a little bit about that story, because a lot of people who listen to this are involved in that business, and you've got a fairly unique story about how that was beneficial to you.
Yeah. Oh wow. So we got Siri
We've got
talking.
Siri on there.
Siri's trying to help with my with the storyline.
Listening to everything.
Yeah, it's true. So, shall I take it back to somewhat to the beginning?
Yeah, go on.
I won't go right back, but let's just say I moved from Tennessee. I was around a lot of gym owners. So, in terms of helping build and create and culture a gym, I was able to do that with a couple of my friends who own various different gyms in Tennessee. So I was able to see kind of the behind the scenes and what having athletes done and bringing in friends done for a gym culture, community, and etc. So when I met my wife, who was from Florida, she was going to come to Tennessee, and I thought, you know what, let me have fresh starts and come to you. Hopefully she didn't bump into any ex-girlfriends, so they're fresh starts. But what I done when I moved to Boca Raton was really, truly sort of start focusing more on bodybuilding than anything else. You know, the Mr. Olympia title was already won at that point. I had won, but now the target was on my back. And I truly felt that moving to Florida was really going to allow me to focus. There was no distractions. There was no people that I knew or anything like that. It was just me getting to the gym and 100% focus on that endeavor. And what happened was these gyms then started seeing me as an entity of sales. And when I was in the gym, you know, if somebody was brought in as a guest or somebody was a potential member, I'm training in the gym, headphones on, they would be brought up to me, hey, Flex, tell them why they should join the gym. Take a picture. And this happened more and more. And then what happened was they would do these, come and meet Flex Lewis tomorrow, meet and greets on Facebook. And I had no clue. So imagine me dieting, I'm walking in with my gym bags, about 50, 60 people, young kids in school uniforms with their parents. It was just like wild. And I realized that for me to now have the full focus for the main reasons as to why I moved to Florida, aside from being with, you know, my future wife, was to win and defend this title. So I give you one more shot. I went to a different gym, something happened again. And because I'm around the used gym equipment space, I knew enough people to inquire if I was to open up a gym, what would I be able to get for this kind of investment? And as you may know, Boca Raton is not a cheap place, and with very little kind of credit, you know, at the time, everything was being built up. I was able to get into a building, a gym building, a 9,000 square foot warehouse, and kit it out with as many pieces as I could. And truly had the ideas of doing camps and stuff like this in this building, had no name, had this incredible idea of, you know, just putting, you know, a camp together with a couple of VIP people of mine. And that's how it started. Now this building then started turning into VIPs coming into town, friends of mine outside of the sport we're in. It ended up going into, you know, I would say, no names mentioned, celebrities who were filming films, knew about the gym. They came in and stayed in the area, trained in the area, filmed in the gym. And this then started evolving. Then people started putting pins in the building address. I had people knocking the door, begging to come in, and we started then blowing up into this Dragons Lair. People started asking about a name. As I said, we called it the Dragons Lair, kind of synonymous to me, synonymous to the brand. Had no intentions of being a gym owner. This was a purpose-built gym, hand-selected pieces that I seen around the world. If I was in a different country, I'd take a photo, send it to my guy, the gym plug, and he'd get these pieces for me, and we start storing them in. So I'd buy like 3 at a piece, and in the end, I had an absolute hodgepodge of various different pieces from every different brand, every different color, in what is now known as the Dragons Lair version 1.
Do you still have a lot of that equipment?
I kept some pieces because it was truly, you know, not to jump so far ahead, but some of the pieces were truly attached to certain people, like, Dallas, who passed away. There's certain pieces that him and I trained on for a couple of Olympias that we had pictures on, that we fucking killed each other on, excuse my language, that I truly felt I can't get rid of this piece. I can't. So I put in storage, again, not knowing what I was going to be doing with it, but at the time it didn't match my evolution. So in very short context, me and my wife ended up having the version 1 for a number of years. And then when Arsenal Strength, who, as you know, I'm a partner in, started evolving, started putting more and more pieces out, we started putting, as the company started growing, 1, 2, 3 pieces in, and it started blowing up. So in the end, we kind of sat back and we were like, we got to turn this into an Arsenal Strength showroom. So several years later, we done so, and we turned that place into kind of a very similar vibe to what we have here. Spray painted the walls, flew a graffiti artist in, top graffiti artist in, Marty Bro from Australia, who paints murals for LeBron James, an incredible artist, great friend. Done an incredible job at the gym. And we outlaid this with the color scheme and the turf and the flooring and everything else as if it was a commercial gym open to the public. What the detriment of having that look was, people thought it was open to the public. And more VIPs that I had coming in, big name people, every would post, every would put the pin in, location, and then we started having tourists that
It's everybody's dream that owns a gym, by the way.
I know. Again, that was the gym owner.
Oh, damn. People want to
I
come.
know. I'm sorry. We're open now. But we had people that literally flew in to Fort Lauderdale Airport, flew into Miami, flew into Orlando, 3 hours away, that drove all the way down. And if I brought in an athlete, for example, for my camp, so I had the mentality to kind of just like a fighter, because I'm around fighters, a lot of friends of fighters, they would go to Big Bear. They would go to different places and they would bring in sparring partners. They would bring in athletes that brought them to the level of fighting or the level that they need to be. I would do the same thing. I'd bring in athletes, young athletes who are future Mr. Olympias, future winners in different categories. And I surround myself with that because my mentality is I got to the top by being my own sort of voice.
So coming back then to the gym story.
Yeah.
So Tennessee, you had the equipment. Like how did you end up here then in Vegas just after the pandemic?
Yeah, so the pandemic happened and it really shut down the world, right? It kind of, the plans of potentially opening up the gym to the public was never going to happen because of the code, the area code we were in, unfortunately wasn't zoned for gyms. And also how we built the gym, we would never be able to flow a gym within that space. It was a great showroom, which it was titled as. And we realized fast enough that when you had people, like I said, that were driving all over and sleeping in cars outside the gym, many times, I'd have to call my VIPs and say, don't park outside the gym, walk. Don't wake these kids up, they're waiting for us. We knew we had something. So when the pandemic happened, myself and my wife looked at each other and we were like, okay, where do we take this? We looked around Florida. South Florida was pretty open. Ron DeSantis done a great job, great governor, Republican governor, kept the world open up there. And we did look at several different warehouses in several different locations. The masks and everything else. It was kind of a weird time. People like touching buttons from afar and stuff, and that was Florida. We ended up, it just wasn't in my heart. It just wasn't in my heart. One of my best friends lives here and lives in Vegas. He was doing a big project in helping Resorts World open up. He does some big gigs, and he was like, Flax, a couple of gyms closed down here before the pandemic, which I knew. And he's very much like me, very young guy, business savvy. And he said, I think, this is Doug Green, shout out Doug Green. I think you should come out of Vegas. So it was my wife that grabbed the bull by the horns. And she's,
always is, isn't it?
Oh, and well, listen, I'm the visionary normally. I'm the one that kind of, and Ali's a realist. But in this case, Ali was like, let's go and check it out. What's the worst? So we jumped on a plane and, full masks and all this craziness. And I thought, nobody's going to recognize me. And I didn't want anybody to know I was out here. When we get off the plane, there was like 4 or 5 fans on the plane. I was like, please don't post this. Nobody knows I'm in Vegas. Straight away posted it. So people hitting me up, why are you in Vegas? I was like, I'm checking something out. Nobody assumed anything. We came out here, we looked at different locations. We came back again the second time. We were able to find this building. Next door was the first one I walked in. I came out. I came into here. I was looking for a standalone or end cap, which is this. And buildings were very hard and still hard to get here in Vegas. And I very much lucked out with this because we're backing up to the 15 and this freeway goes all the way to California. This is the main freeway that goes all the way to California, all the way up to Utah. And there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of passes, car passes here a day, visual in the back, see your sign. And we go back to the building. I went in there, came in here, and I was like, I'll take both. And we started construction. And before that, though, I want to say my wife was, let's do this. And I was kind of like, my daughter, my daughter Adi, we're like, she's in school, she's a great school. So then we kind of school shopped. We found a great school. It was very similar to Florida, same style of learning. So for me then, and Ali, of course, I was like, okay, let's do this. And we were all in, and it's been the best move. It was an incredible move. We were able to grow this in the pandemic with literally people who wanted to work. Nobody knew we were doing anything. We tinted the windows. We had a load of people in here all day long. It was like directing traffic. I had great GCs. And I had this vision, and thankfully for me, I had some great people who turned it into my reality.
Did you think, I guess it's a bit of a weird time to think about starting a business because nobody really knew how long any of this was going to go on. Like, how when you were thinking about it, the cost, the move, you must have had a bit of certainty that things are all going to be all right and gyms are going to be back again, which a lot of people didn't.
I'll be honest with you, mate. It's the truth. I look you in the eyes. I didn't have one bit of worry. I knew that this was going to, I didn't know, but in my heart of hearts, I believed that this was going to be a chapter that everybody comes out from, learning, appreciates life more, understands that health now is going to be now of a priority, because a lot of people weren't going to the gym, they weren't taking their health serious, they weren't eating right. There's a lot of different things that actually aided them into getting COVID, getting worse. And now a lot of people, doctors, scientists, people who are way over my pay grade have all said that health is wealth. A lot of people who didn't get severely sick testamented that down to going to the gym, keeping themselves in health, keeping themselves moving. So when I opened up this place, I knew that, I believed then, shall I say, knew is a different word. I believed that there was going to be a time period that this was going to, blow over. I also surround myself with a lot of positive people, a lot of mentality guys, a lot of business owners who have the same mentality of, when people are worried, that's when you double down. When people are not investing, that's when you invest. When your stocks are low, throw in money, so that kind of mentality. That's not financial advice, by the way. But that's who I'm around, and also, I'm that voice for my circle of people too. So when I told people that I was doing this, I didn't have anybody tell me, what the hell are you thinking about? Because they already know. But the ones who have told me, the worrisome people, the kind of mentality people who have that, oh, what if? Oh, I don't know, they're still there. They just found out after the fact. They found out when I was opening the gym. Because I didn't need to have the what if people. I wanted this is a great move. This is, I also don't have people who blow, smoke around me. These, and when I'm saying these, it's a small circle. It's a small circle of people who I entrust in, but when you've got the biggest critic and the biggest supporter around you that's saying this is going to work, that's my wife, then who else do I really give a shit about? We were doing this together, people see me as this is my gym, but let me tell you something. My wife knows more about this gym than I do. You know, she is, you know, she is the, and you go and ask my front desk staff. She's the brains and the brawn behind the, I'm the brawn, I'm sorry. She's the brains behind the operation. But, you know, obviously, you know, I joke, but, you know, we built this together. Her strengths are not mine, and mine are not hers. And we both believed in the same thing. We both believed that this was going to be something special. We created something in Boca Raton that we took to Vegas. And as with what most people say, everybody comes to Vegas at least once a year. And there's so many events that bring in people from the US to Vegas every single year, multiple times a year. So we wanted to create a hub where you knew that when you walked into this gym, it was going to be a culture that you couldn't duplicate, you couldn't replicate. This was going to be a place full of motivation, stimulation, and because I have felt that in my own heart, when I first walked into Gold's Gym Venice, when every single pro and every single celebrity was training in there, when Gold's Gym Venice was what it was, I knew that I could create something very similar here. And now we have, you know,
you get a lot of guests. You big part of
celebrities.
it. People come in for the day and the weekend.
Yeah.
It's a big part of what you do. Yeah.
But that is kind of, that is the business, but you have to create the culture. And the culture here is nothing like I've ever seen in any gym. And maybe I'm biased, but I see it from the inside out and the outside in. The athletes we have here, the business owners, the general members, the big superstar celebrities we have here, everybody walks in here with one mentality: to train. You got Mr. Olympia training next to somebody who's 85 years old, who's had 2 hip replacements, and they're both just as much motivation to me and many other staff members as, you know, the guy who's, like I said, they got the titles. You look around and you've got guys like, you know, we mentioned earlier, the Hodge twins, Dana White, Dan Bazarian. So many people that come to this gym, then they don't get bothered. They come in here and they feel at home. They love this gym. You know, many messages that I've got in my phone of people that I used to look at on social media, now I can call friends, that say, thank you for bringing this to Vegas. It's incredible. And you mentioned the day passes. We've been very blessed that we're one of the #1 gyms now in the country that has day passes, you know, that come in, week passes. People who have come in for one day, gone to another gym, came back and said, no, I'm staying here. I'm coming here for the week. People who have come here for a week extend this trip to several months. And then they're moving here. So we've heard every single story. We've had proposals here. We've had, I mean, so many things have happened here. So many storylines have happened in this gym. We've only been open what is it? You know, we're going to be coming up to 2 years. We're in 2 years, I'm sorry. So it's, 3 years. We've been living in Vegas, but yes, it's been a wild couple of years. But
And you were saying before we chatted that you don't spend a penny on marketing.
not put. I know.
Which is, I guess there's not many people who can probably say that in the gym business, I suppose.
I'm very blessed that we have, as I said, people that come here and film, post, talk about it on their stories, that are members, that are day passers, celebrities who get paid and endorsed a lot of money to do one post, and they're putting several out a week in my gym. And yeah, we've not paid for $1 in marketing. This has been, it's been incredible. Again, listen, there's a lot of things that create this gym. I am not one. I am just one. I'm sorry. I am just one entity that brings, you know, life to the gym. But then there's so many different other boxes, and people are coming in for a day pass. In many cases, I've heard about the gym, but don't even know about me. That's when you know you're doing something right. And when you've got people who are coming in and enthusiastic and coming in straight from the airport with their bags and their luggage and everything else, and they're like, oh my God, we just had to come here straight. That's when you know you're doing something right. They're not coming here to get hammered and drunk and everything else. The pool parties and everything else, I'm sure that's part of it, but this is also a big part of it too. And because we're so close to the Strip by design.
And the airport.
And the airport. We're kind of nestled in between. Yeah. It's truly kind of worked out in many different ways for us. And there's things that we've watered to grow. And then there's things that have just organically grown that we didn't put any attention in. And again, that's what I said, it's so many different boxes that makes this gym unique. It's truly a place that, people call home. Yeah.
One of the things we were chatting about is the sort of, I guess, style of gym, where back in the 80s, it was very much, they called them spit and sawdust gyms back in England, where cables and free weights, and then that whole model kind of disappeared, and you had the big box health club. But I know it's not the case everywhere around the world, but this, I guess I'm certainly hearing it from a lot of other people in the business, that after the pandemic, a lot of things changed in terms of what people wanted from the gym. You mentioned about the amount of sort of, females now going in there, and you seem to have kind of, I guess, changed your concept and what people wanted seemed to kind of coincide. Was that intentional or?
Yeah, I guess my vision was what people wanted. It wasn't intentional. I didn't kind of change my business model to suit a demographic. My demographic was the Dragons Lair. And if you look at the Boca Raton location, like I said, I just picked it up and I planted it here in Vegas. And of course, there's certain things that we listen to our members, we listen to what needs to be done. And that's one of the reasons why we're kind of, playing Tetris with the wrong pieces, but we're trying to always evolve, expand. We had the Arsenal Strength showroom here in the gym. And because of the evolution of the Dragons Lair, I'd loved to have kept the Arsenal Strength showroom here. It's a great element. I mean, we've had a lot of big VIPs who go in there to train away from, the general public, which all end up wanting to be in the main gym, by the way. So we realized that, with Arsenal growing, with us growing, it was probably better for us to move the Arsenal Strength showroom. Now we have a new location, incredible location, downtown Las Vegas, and now we've acquired back that room. And now it's turned into a leg room. A leg room. So it's more torture. So what we've done is we listened to the athletes, and we've handpicked different pieces purposely to fulfill that room and fill that room full of everything that we didn't really have before, So we wanted to create a one-stop shop, and the vision I had was a one-stop shop, which I wasn't able to do, obviously, in the Boca Raton location. So I headhunted this gentleman who's here next to my office. We call him the Torture Room. He is one of the best in the game. He was in Seattle, Washington, and I basically convinced him nicely to come to Las Vegas. And obviously he had his reservation. I was like, listen, you're going to come here a week, but I'll give you a free month. Come here a week and you'll see. And I said, you'll be like, okay, I'm coming. He was here for less than a week, and he went back home. Within 2 weeks, he was moved here. He realized that he had to be here to further his business, but he also needed to be here because this is where everybody was coming in, again, tourist-wise, athlete-wise, and he's had the biggest names on his table that he'd never be able to get in Seattle, Washington. So going back to your question, the model that I have here is truly unique, and it would be very hard to kind of take this model and put it in another state.
Really?
That's why I've been asked multiple times, and I've had people that have walked into my office with a blank check. Let's open this gym in Texas. Let's open this gym in Boise.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was said the same thing. I said, I can imagine these being all over the place.
It just has to be location.
It's a Vegas thing, is it?
Yes and no. It just has to be a destination.
Right.
So think of the destinations around the world and where people frequent. It has to be there for tourism. It also has to be there for the celebrity aspect, and it also has to be there for the energy. People come to Vegas excited, lose a lot of money gambling, but when they come to the gym, they know they're going to gain something, and that's normally a pump anyway. So
could you imagine it in somewhere like Dubai or some places like that? Could you?
I can see it in Dubai. I can see it in London or England somewhere. Everybody wants me to say Wales.
Wales.
Everybody wants a Dragons Lair Wales. And I can see it in some other tourist destinations too, But right now, with this model, we're always evolving, and where I see this brand going is going to be in the evolution stages. somewhere where we build this into the true gym it should be. Right now we have an incredible facility, but again we need space to make it that much better. And in the growing stages of where we are, number of years time, I think this is where we'll build. It's actually exclusive. We probably would build a Dragons Lair here in Las Vegas and create it into its true empire it should be. Recovery, touching on so many different things that we don't have the bandwidth to grow right now.
A real big Vegas kind of,
Yeah.
Go large idea.
Yeah,
I can see that working here.
Yeah, it again with
A super. I don't think there's any around. I've not seen those kind of like you say. The only one I can think of is you've got the Gold's Gym in LA,
yeah.
Muscle Beach, which has been there for a while. But I've not seen kind of that Vegas, Dragons Lair Vegas kind of scale. I could see that.
And it's got to kind of be fitness industry bodybuilding, right? So there's multiple gyms in this town. There's a lot of big gyms, in town. But they also have a demographic that is not us. There's a reason why we have a price point on the business element. The price point kind of weeds out a lot of without beating around the bush, you have a $10 membership, you have a $10 member. They'll take everything from toilet paper to clips to everything else. That's the mentality. You have a price point that separates the low point, and you have an athlete, a business owner, a member that truly values the gym, takes care of the gym because that's their home, they're paying for it. And they also take pride in letting other people who don't look after the gym before my staff do. We've had many members that have said, hey, excuse me, man, I know you're a day pass, but you need to take your weights off the machine. We don't do that yet. They don't have to do nothing.
So where do you position this then against the other ones? Like, I don't want to share anything that's confidential, but roughly, like, how does your price points if you want to come here, monthly membership or day pass? Where are you on that?
So the day passes are $3. $30.
Oh, $30.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
The accent. $30. 30.
Yeah.
Don't be coming out saying $3. And then we have a week pass, which is $99. And then we have our membership rollouts, right? So I won't get into the membership side of things, but we have different price points for military, different price points for 12 months, all paid in full. And we have a good portion of members, but when I created the gym, I never thought that, I hoped, but I never thought that the tourism would be where it is. It supersedes all my sort of activation plans and what I thought, all my rollouts, all my speculations. I thought memberships would be where they're at. And I thought tourism kind of be a little bit under. Oh my God, on the scale of things, just like that. And
because you were saying, like, there's a big event on in town this week, EDC, and you were saying that a lot of people in the gym are at that. It's an electronic music event, and they're coming in here.
They love to get their little pump on, I say little, sorry. They get their pump on before they go to these events, and that's the great thing about Vegas too. There's always something going on. Like I said, this weekend is EDC, and EDC is one of the biggest dance festivals. You're gonna have. I mean, we can find that number out, but I won't even say. I'd say on the low end, tens of thousands, but I don't even know what really it is. And there's so many different stages, so many of the biggest DJs, and they're in here right now training too. The guys who are playing the next couple of days are training here too. So it's events like that bring in massive crowds from all over the country. Again, filming, posting. That's one of the reasons why we don't market, because
and you were saying you don't do any for those events. You're not doing any marketing. People are just people know, and they're finding you through social media.
They come in and they truly have this place as one of the bucket list things to do when they come into the events. So obviously, listen, the Mr. Olympia event every single year is going to be an absolute manic event. This year it's in Florida. Last year it was in Vegas. The year before that I was in Florida. The year before that I was in Vegas. Next year's back in Vegas. So we now know how wild the gym was, and we really prepared for it. We truly prepared for it. But you can't truly prepare for the manic influx of people that came in. It was bananas in here. We done some run-throughs, and just on the photo wall itself, millions of impressions. Just shared and stuff like this, just on that photo wall itself outside the gym. But with the events that happen all the time here in Vegas, all the way from PBR, bull riding, to these dance events, to several different bodybuilding shows scattered throughout the year, we have, bursts of people that come in. So, and that's
You have the
that's
UFC as well. Does
UFC, yeah.
fall into what you guys doing here? Is that part of it, or not really?
Not really. I mean, I'm out of, I got to say this, out of rugby, UFC is the sport I follow. I don't follow football, baseball, basketball, any American culture sport. Sorry, guys. UFC is my sport. I came here to Vegas with a game plan of being able to be in the circle of connections 3 years. And it took me 3 months. And I was invited when the whole world was shut down to attend a number of UFC events where there was only a limited production crew. There was Dana, Hunter Campbell, there was Joe Rogan, Daniel Cormier, Daniel Arnick, and everybody was kind of spaced out, and there was me sitting on a singular deck chair, all dressed in black, was the only rules, can't yell, can't shout, and I'm thinking to myself, I've been here 2 months. How did this happen? But how it happened was Hunter Campbell, who's the CBO of the UFC, has purchased gym equipment from us at Arsenal Strength. He follows me on Instagram, even though he doesn't have an account. He knows how much of a fan I am of UFC. I mean, I've been posting and I've known some of these guys personally for years. Long before they were champions too. So it was kind of like, hey, you wanna come? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So full circle, the UFC, to answer your question, doesn't really bring anything in on the week-to-week fights. We have, some spin-offs, but nothing that spikes massively, like EDC or PBR or, the things that I mentioned, bodybuilding shows. But when we have fight week here, which is coming up in July, it's a full rollout of UFC. So you have a lot of athletes coming in. There's massive activation things that go on throughout the city. And there's several different days that have different fights, big fights. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I believe. So that brings in a crowd for the gym too. And also we got Formula One that's coming up here. They're going to be taking over the whole city. And that's going to be a massive thing for us too. So, we can prepare for stuff, but again, when you walked in here this morning, there's a lot of people here, all excited, all ready, all getting their swole on before tonight's, party. And it's just a different face and a different event they're connected to.
That must be quite fun because you sort of, I guess it's not a traditional business when you've got that flow of different people. Mm-hmm. There must be, you must be quite sort of proud and I guess satisfied that you created something that's unique as this. It'd be, I'm sure for many people listening, this would be their sort of dream come true having this.
I don't know, I'm wired differently, and I don't want for people to listen to this and think he doesn't sound like, he's happy at all. I am. I am, but I also know what this truly can become. And if I was to sit here content, then I'm doing a disservice to the 2 decades, shall I say, that I've done in bodybuilding. Because not one year, not from the start to the very end show, did I ever think or feel that, I've done this. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. Like, you can look back on my accolades and be like, that was a tough prep. I'm glad I done that. But I never had any show that I was just overwhelmed with excitement. It was more of a bag of relief, like, "Whew, okay, I've done it." Because you're just so focused. And then when you hear your name called, yes. So that same mentality I have now in business, where I have several different businesses and we have these goals to reach, and I hit them, I'm on to the next. I don't really have much time to sit down and celebrate and cheer and stuff. I don't know. I don't allow myself to do that. I actually am more proud about my bodybuilding now. And I talk about it because it's kind of come and gone. I'm not that guy anymore. I think it's humility that stopped me from allowing myself to talk about it of old, because I was an active competitor. But now I'm retired. I can talk about, man, yeah, I done it, But the business now has replaced that mindset.